better than what I remember them, which pleased me very much. But the rest wasn't. There wasn't much change. Nice seemed to be the same. Swansea had been rebuilt, of course, after the Blitz, which was very nice. But after Brisbane and Australia, well, I suppose it takes a bit of get used to then. Out here everything seemed so wide, wide open spaces and sunlight and all that. Although I must admit we did have nice weather the first 6 weeks we were over there. And we met everyone. There were great nights down the Maid of Sker, Fourth Call, and some of the pubs around Britain Ferry and Neath. And we really enjoyed ourselves. And when the time came, I say, correction, I say again, when the time came for us to go, I particularly wasn't sorry to go. As we had enjoyed ourselves, and well, all good things come to an end. But on the way over on the ship, yes, that takes a bit of explaining, doesn't it? Well, I can only say that I sent all the details home to Britain Ferry, to 34 Bryn, assuming that Neville would have all the details and the name of the ship, date into Los Angeles, etc., which he would have passed on to you. And on the last couple of days, you can imagine what sort of a time it was, packing and getting ready to go and all this sort of thing. I suddenly realized I had about 6 different addresses, at least 4 or 5 anyway, of both you and Neville and Sid, and I didn't really know if any were any good. Not to say if any were current, but what I was banking on that Neville would have written to you and told you our ETA and the ship, which would have been very easily traced, coming into Los Angeles. She's Long Beach, actually. She is the biggest ship on the Australian run. She was the old United States and the Greek exporter, and she is now the Australis. Here I am again. I had a visitor then, so I had to break the recording. Yes, anyway, when we got into Long Beach, we scanned the faces and hoping that we'd see one of you, but it never eventuated. And so I left a note with the purser, knowing that if you did come down where we'd gone up to have a look at Long Beach, the city area, you would have called into the purser to try and trace us. So I left a letter there, but we came back and there was nothing there. We began to realize then that you probably didn't know about us, and so that afternoon we were booked for Disneyland, which we went to, and came back. Then we had a tour up to Beverly Hills and Hollywood at the night, and of course we sailed very early hours of the morning. So unfortunately we missed you, but as you say, Heidi, we won't do that again. We'll be more organized the next time. Anyway, we enjoyed our trip. We went by sea from Australia. We flew from New Guinea down to Sydney, then Auckland, New Zealand, Fiji, Los Angeles, and down through the canal to the Bahamas, New York, and Southampton. We were home for nearly 6 months, and eventually ended up back in New Guinea. And of course our time was up. We had about 15 months to go then, and came back to New Brisbane. We got our own home in Brisbane, our own house, and at present John is living in it. It's a big house with something like, seven bedrooms, and John and Mark. Of course, Mark, you wouldn't have met Mark, but he's my son. He's 21, nearly 22 now. And him and John are living in the house. Caretakers, they reckon. And while we were up here. And of course, while we were over there, we met Norman's wife, Pauline. We didn't know her before this. And she was quite adamant. Norman wanted to come to Australia, but Pauline was quite adamant that no, she was not leaving Wales. And we'd been back in New Guinea about about a couple of months maybe at the most. And here's a letter from Norman saying that Pauline had changed her mind and she was looking forward to immigrating to Australia. So that was quite a surprise, because when we were there, she was to tell Norman, there's the door. If you want to go to Australia, there's the door. But there you are. They arrived out here and they stayed at our house. We were in New Guinea at the time, and they were in Australia about 9 months before we came down. We came down in February 1972, and March 72, as Teresa was going back to the UK for another holiday with two girlfriends of hers, and Norman and Pauline had been in our house for about 9 months. They arrived out here June 71, so they've been out here now 5 years or more, and love it. Oh, they love it. In fact, Pauline says now that her only regret is that she hadn't come out to Australia 10 years before they did. They've done really well for themselves. They got their own home, and full of furniture, TV and car, and they did have a swimming pool and caravan and all that sort of junk. And within a few months of them arriving here, Pauline's mother and father wanted to come out. So they eventually came out just after we got back from New Guinea and arrived in Brisbane. Within a few weeks, Pauline's mother and father arrived. Well, they were out here for 2 years. And then that's Pauline's father. He loved it. He got himself a job, best job he'd ever had in his life. But Reen wasn't very happy. She wanted to go back to Wales, and eventually they went back. But I believe now, the letters we're getting, they're talking about coming back, and they were very disappointed. It's quite a different life, of course, and they thought that, at least Reen thought that they'd go back and the prices would be the same and everything would be the same, but of course, you know, nothing is ever the same again. And Britain had gone into the common market, and the price of food had rocketed, and they wrote the last letter they had a couple of months back. They were asked Pauline to look out for a flat for them, but they were coming back. But we haven't heard from them since. We haven't heard from Brisbane, I mean, from Norman and Pauline, or Mark, or John. Oh, we've got one letter from Mark, yes. But nothing about Reen and Den. That's Pauline's father and mother. So we're next thing we will probably be hearing is that they're back out in Brisbane. So there you are. That's the way it goes. Norman's son, eldest boy, only school kids when they come out here. Well, he's a jockey. He's an apprentice jockey, and he's doing quite well in the races in and around Brisbane. Tina, that's the girl. Well, she just left school this year, looking for a job, and yes, here I'm back on the other side now. I was telling you about Norman's children. His third one, that's the little boy, he's still in school, but he works After school hours in the stables. Mad on horses, he is. Anyway, that's a little bit of news about Norman. Now, our Teresa, because when she went back in 72, she got married in Wales to one of the local boys, a Skewin lad, Roy Matthews. So she's Mrs. Matthews now, and they're out in Aden. Oh yes, the Democratic Republic of the Southern Yemen, and he's with BP Oils. He's got quite a good job actually. He's a computer programmer, and we had quite a nice surprise last January. Teresa and Roy took a holiday from Aden, and they came to Australia to see us. Evidently they get 2 leaves a year, short leave, and then a long leave at the end of 12 months. They served 2 years out there, and they took a short leave and went to Kenya, to the Serengeti Plains, saw all the animals, lions and elephant and whatnot. And then the long leave, they came to Australia. Of course, Nina was delighted, and well, so was I, because Roy was going to come to Australia, and he had a job and everything, and then backed out the last minute after they got married. So I think Teresa might have put the hard word on Roy and said, if you don't move, she's going back to Australia. So anyway, they came out on a real nice holiday, really impressed. The weather wasn't that good, not from our standard of view. It rained quite a lot, and a bit of cyclone weather about. But they had several weeks of really nice weather, and enjoyed themselves immensely. And they reckon, both of them reckon, that they were coming back to Australia when their term in Aden finishes. They'll have their leave, go back to the UK, and then come back out to Australia. So we've got our fingers crossed. And the other relative that's a long way away is Betty, that's Nina's sister. You probably wouldn't know them, Ben, but they went out 2 years ago to the Falkland Islands. That's near Cape Horn, down the bottom tip of South America. And they've been out there nearly 2 years, but they've just gone back home. Just a job, just an air strip that they were making, and the British firm had the contract, and they just finished their 2 years there. So between